Hello everyone. Today we are here with Murphy from WellHeyProductions.
Hello.
Is there anything you would like to say before we get started with the questions?
I'm glad I grabbed another beer for this.
You wouldn't be yourself if you didn't have a beer.
I wouldn't be myself if I was sober, for Christ's sake.
Alright. We will jump right into the questions because there's a lot for you.
That's right.
Okay. I'm going to do the narrator questions first. And the first question is, do you have any plans for your channel?
Well, I'm not going to be giving it a makeover or anything like that. I think my only real main plan is to acquire as many that I can in my army as possible. I'm actually, let's see, I'm just shy of $8,000 right now, and hopefully before the end of the year, I'm looking forward to hitting that 10K milestone. And at that, I want to have like a big celebration or little get together, little giveaway, so to speak. So I got everything ironed out. I just need to make it happen, and hopefully it will happen before Murph Day 2014.
Okay. How did you come up with your channel name?
WellHeyProductions has been. It hasn't really been. It didn't start off as my channel name. I went to school for film and video, and when making all the film projects, most everyone would just they make the film project and they hand them in. I always went the extra mile. I had beginning credits and end credits, and this is and I always knew that it had to be brought to you by this production company presents this. And when I was going to college, at that point in my college life, I would say, well, hey, there you go, all the time. And then I just figured, let's use that and put it in into a real form. So 1995, WellHeyProductions was born. And it's been rolling along ever since.
Okay. How did your persona come to be?
Also in college. I'm a big Batman fan. Always have been. I mean, even though my favorite bad guy, my favorite villain is Two-Face. A story like my first day of college, my very first day of college. I just got off the bus, and I was already so used to being ridiculed and made fun of for being just a shy kid, and I swore to myself I'm not going to let that same thing happen. So I was in the marching band, so we had to start a week before everyone else got to campus, just so we could get prepared for the football season coming up. We all met at this specific the band room that was in the music hall, and everyone was introduced. This is the band director. These are your drum majors. These are your section leaders. Yada 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 yada. So we're just gonna give everyone a tour of the little building, and then when you're done, you can just mill around in the communal area, and then we'll all march down to the practice field. Well, I took the tour, and I saw where all the practice rooms were and where the uniforms were stored and everything like that, and I was like, okay, great. We went down to the communal area, and everyone was just, messing around, and they were asking questions. So where you come from, where you come from. They found out I was from Milwaukee, and they said, oh, my God, big city, because everyone up at college, I went to Northern Michigan University. Everyone was either from the UP, from northern Wisconsin, or northern the northern lower peninsula of Michigan. So very rarely they would get someone from Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit. So they were like, ooh, big city kid. Well, he's not going to make it up here in the sticks. And I'm like, okay. So we started telling jokes, and I thought of a great joke that would just, floor everyone. It didn't make sense, but it was one of those jokes where you tell it you tell everyone the joke, and then the next person to walk in, the joke's on them because they're not going to get it. But when everyone's supposed to hear the punchline, they're all supposed to laugh like it's the funniest thing they've ever heard in their entire life. So I tell so I said, okay, next person that comes in, I'm going to do this. Next person to come in was the drum major, and he was this hoity-toity kind of Bible thumper kind of guy, and everyone looked at me like, if you can pull this off, you're a legend. So he came over, and I was already in his good favor because we both played the same instrument. And I said, hey, I got a great joke, and I tell the joke, and I do the punchline, and everyone starts laughing, and he's just like, I don't get it. And then, you know, we all laugh at him, go, joke's on you, da, 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 da. Then the director comes down and says, okay, we have to line up, go down. We all lined up, get in line. They snapped us to attention. I didn't move a muscle, and they were not expecting that. They were expecting me to just be this complete goofball. And they saw me standing as straight and rigid, not moving a muscle, not even blinking, not breathing. And some guy just came over and said, look at this Joker. And that's how it all started. My nickname throughout the entire college was Joker. And I have a tattoo of the jester that you all know, the Black Jester, on my arm that I designed way back when I was 21. And I just kind of tweaked him, morphed him. And, you know, so that's the design that you see today. It really has not changed much overall. Still one red eye, one green eye, black skin, always smoking a cigar. And his persona is really not that much different from me, just amplified. I can go on Tumblr and I can tell someone, hey, fuck off, faggot, and they'll just say, oh, well, that's just Murphy, when I would never be caught dead saying that to anyone's face. I would just, like, no, I really don't like confrontation, but that's how it is with me. I can get away with it there. A lot of us can get away with it, it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But yeah, it's just my personality that's just been cranked up to 11.
Okay. How has narrating changed you?
Some might actually say that it's made my ego swell to the size of the Goodyear blimp. Some may say that I have turned into a narcissistic prick. Some might say that I'm a huge faggot. I don't give a shit. It really has not changed me at all. I look at what I do as I love making movies, and it just gives me an outlet that I can continue being creative. So it's being a narrator is actually, it's quasi therapeutic. If I wouldn't be able to do something with my hands or create or do this or do that, I would go insane. And you know what, I might have been that kid that made the YouTube video that hates all the women that put me in the friend zone. But thank God I'm not that stupid. So yeah, that's like I said, it really hasn't changed me, but it has kept me from not changing.
Okay, that makes sense. How has narrating changed your life?
It has turned me into a vicious, narcissistic faggot. No. How's it changed my life? I never thought it ever possible that someone could fangirl over me. I'm an old man. Who would? And when I say old man, that I'm just the oldest in the community. So I mean, when I see some of these people that I see on Tumblr, I see in the community, or I see them on the community chat or what have you, even in the narrators chat that's on Skype, I'll just pop in and I'll say, hey everybody, and everyone will go like, oh my god, it's Murphy, and I'm like, okay, you guys are smoking some pretty heavy stuff, give me some. How's it changed my life? it's brought. I mean, since my videos are monetized, it's brought a little bit added paycheck into the household. Uh, Not much, but at least it supports a one tank of gas, which is nice every now and then. Um, but other than that, not really. Not really. I actually think it's changed my son's life more than it's mine, because he's. I think he has more fans than I do.
He is adorable.
And that's the way it should be. Actually, that's the way it should be.
Okay. Why did you start narrating?
Why did I start narrating? I've been a fan of creepypasta for a lot longer than I have been narrating. And I started listening to all these tales, the Vicious 516 or the Little Fears or Mr. Creepypasta. And I would say, I would listen to them, and I said, well, I've been told that I have a good speaking voice. And then I said, maybe I could do this. And then I started watching the videos, and then it dawned on me that none of them had that one thing that just, I didn't understand. Why didn't they do this? Most of all the creepypasta videos that I've seen it's strictly audio. Because, I mean, it's just narrating of a story. But they're still videos. You have a complete other end of real estate to work with. Why not? Why not use it? I've already gone to school for film, video, animation, 3D animation. I didn't get any schooling on Flash or After Effects. I mean, both of those are self-taught. But there's a whole area of that they're just missing out. I'm seeing these images that are waving back and forth. They're just still images, and maybe it'll cut to something else really quick and then cut back. But nothing. There's nothing there. So I'm like, well, I can throw myself in there, and I'll be known for that. So that's what I did. I just started, okay, I'm gonna start off simple, start off with some really short ones, and then once I get the hang of it, then I'll start throwing some more animation in it, and more and more and more, and then it just snowballed into what it is now, and it's fantastic. I love doing it. The only thing that I don't like about narrating is probably the fact that I am typecast. I am either the dad, for obvious reasons, or I am the demon. I don't know why I'm always the demon. I don't understand that at all.
I could probably think of one or two reasons.
Because I'm fucking evil.
Next question.
Mm-hmm.
What creepypasta do you want to narrate, but are having trouble narrating?
I did one a couple weeks ago called 17. I loved the story, but the author was a little long-winded and very verbose. And I mean, the story itself really wasn't that long, but the sentences were gargantuan. It was a paragraph. It was a sentence a paragraph, because they were so long. And I mean, he used proper grammar and proper punctuation, so they all were correct. But come on, man. I mean, it was a lot of prepositions, and it was just a beast to get through, because I'd have to take a deep breath and then start the sentence, and if I screwed up once, I'd have to, oh shit, and I gotta go all the way back, and I gotta do that whole sentence again. So the story itself, I think it was 30, maybe 40 minutes, but it was raw audio was about 2 hours. So that was a bear, but I mean, at least I got it done. Creepypasta, it's not really my magnum opus, so to speak. The one I really want to do, and it's not even a creepypasta, but it is a tale that everybody knows. And before I retire, I am going to do this by hook or by crook. I want to narrate the entire Divine Comedy.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, starting off with Inferno, and then then Purgatorio, and then Paradiso. Um, I mean, going all the way through the entire saga of Dante. And but the problem with the Divine Comedy is that it is very relative. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of references to pop culture in his time that we have absolutely no clue what's going on. There are references to governors and politicians and celebrities in his day and age that we have never heard of. And they're supposed to be representing all these horrible sins, like this one broad is lustful, but we don't know why because we've never heard about her. I mean, there could be an effort to, maybe rework it so that they're using pop culture references that we can relate to, but at the same time, it would lose a bit of its luster because, I mean, do you really picture this Victorian epic vision of hell, and then buried up to his armpits is Justin Bieber?
Hmm.
It loses a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to see him down there, um, but um, but at the same time, with the confines and the context of the story, it just doesn't fit. So it's a struggle to get through because, like I said, there. I mean, and once you the rhythm of it's actually a poem. It's just a really long poem, and once you get the rhythm of the poem, it starts flowing a lot easier. But still, I mean, the books that I have to, go into one chapter or one canto, and I'll read it, and then I'll see footnote 1, footnote 2, footnote 3, and then I go back to the references. Okay, check them out. Okay, let's start that thing over because now I've lost my place and I've lost my rhythm. And that's how it's very, very difficult to read because if you don't know who they're talking about, then you have to find out who they're talking about to understand the reference, where they are, and why they're there. And it's very difficult because it's very dated. But God damn it, if I don't like a challenge, I got to. I have to. It's a fantastic story, and I think that's one of the great stories that you should read before you die. It should be it's one book that should be on everyone's bucket list, I feel.
What creepypasta has made an impact on your life?
Oh Lord. Creepypasta that's made an impact on my life. Art of Jacob Emery. Mainly because and I cannot take credit for this. Um, I was talking to Mr. Creepypasta in a call once, and we were talking about our character's origin. And he was talking about the Blue Man, and I was talking about the Black Jester, and he said, what would be really cool if you could somehow connect your Jester to Jacob Emery because you love that story so much. And then he just went, oh, what if? I'm like, what? When he gasps like that, he's got something good. I said, what if the your Black Jester was the other Jacob that he drew at the end? And I came in my pants. It was the most beautiful, fitting idea I have heard to date in the entire community. Don't get me wrong, there have been fantastic ideas and concepts and executions and events and this and that and the other thing, but by far my favorite right now is how I was able to connect me to my favorite creepypasta of all time, and I love it. And then I wrote Redditum, and yeah, I think I just released that one last Friday. So if you're listening to the interview now, go back and see how it all ties together. A lot of good comments on it. It seems to be very well received. Hopefully, it sticks around, becomes canon, which would be fantastic. So, yeah, I would think out of all of them, because I mean, I realize they're all stories. And there's a lot of them that are the horrible stories. And actually, I'll give you an example of both. One that's changed my life for the good, which would be Jacob Emery, and one that's changed my life for the bad. And it's going to be a soft spot for some people that are listening in, and it's a soft spot for a lot of us because how it affected us in just a what the fuck is going on here kind of situation. I can't remember the name of the story. I don't care to remember it. All I know is that it was horrible. And someone presented this story to me, Miss Shadow Lovely, Mr. Creepypasta, Creeps McPasta, Creepypasta Jr., some of the other like Josie and Litterbot, and they said I have somebody that would like you to read this story and see what they think. And see what you think. So we read it. I couldn't get through the whole thing because I was just like, what the? It was changing tenses. Like it would start off in present tense and then go to past tense, and then into second person omniscient, and then it was just a mishmash of what the fuck. And it had a lot to do with murder and rape and this and that and a chocolate reindeer. And for the most, all of us just said no. It needs a lot of work, and that's the last we saw of it. Fast forward to I want to say about a month later, maybe, and the person that presented the story to us comes running back and said, "I'm getting harassed by these people who think I'm a horrible person because you didn't like their story." So some of us, go, say, okay, what the heck's going on? We say, hey, leave her alone. She was just the messenger. You're not supposed to do that. And then someone that's not even part of the community starts ripping on us because, they have absolutely no idea what's going on. And it just turns into this ginormous clusterfuck of he said, she said bullshit. Things were said, feelings were hurt, a lot of butthurt occurred, a lot of butthurt. It's probably one of the only times where I've actually had to remove myself. Say, I can't take any more of this. This is fucking nuts. It finally got resolved when the offending author finally realized that she was a complete idiot. And she also realized that by insulting everyone rather than asking for help, she pretty much blacklisted herself. And so she's going to have a real hard time in getting anyone to work with her because she's been labeled as, oh, if you don't like her stuff, then she's going to give you absolute hell. And who really wants? It's just a story. It's not your memoirs. Who cares if people like it? If they don't like it. Always live to better yourself. Always You know, if someone says, "Hey, this can be better," then actually look at that and say, "Well, maybe they're right," and then look at it and see if it actually does apply. People are just saying, if people says, "Hey, this is really bad, you got a lot of work," and they just come back with, "Yeah, well, fuck you," yeah, no one's gonna want to work with you when you
Mm-hmm.
do that. No one. So yeah, you remember that. I think you
Yeah.
were. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? And I know I promised a whole mess of people. I said, "Oh, we're never gonna bring that up. It's the incident that will not be named, but it happened, and it can't unhappen. And it's one of those things that we need to remember it so that it doesn't happen again. If we just try to sweep it under the carpet, shit like that's bound to happen again. So that's the main reason why I bring it up.
There's actually one more. I don't know if it's exactly a creepypasta,
Hmm.
but a story that you've narrated that I know has made a type of impact on your life.
Huh.
So, I ask you for a hamburger.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Fuel theory. I've become synonymous with hamburgers and pickles now.
Now pickle.
And now pickles, yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, that was probably before I did Creep Busters and before I did just recently the Creepypasta Survival Guide. That was by far my most popular video. I saw it climb to new heights. It was the first video that I got that went over 10K. And it was I looked at that as my crown jewel. I will probably be known for Kuehl theory and how it just keeps on getting more and more abstract. To this day, I still get people that comment and say, "What if I asked you for a bacon cheeseburger?" Or what if I ask you for a bratwurst, or this or that? Someone actually said, he said, "What if I asked you for a salad?" And then I said, "I would tell you to get the fuck out." Um, but yeah, for the longest time, when people come up to me and they say, "Hey, can I have a hamburger?" I would just make up some Kuehl theory stuff right on the spot, and I would "You asked me for a hamburger." Oh, you asked me for a hamburger. The streetlights go out in Tucson, Arizona, and glow a bright indigo. A library shuts its doors but reopens them to let out small children so they can be run over in the street. And I just try to and try to come up with the most abstract stuff and just go with it. It's a lot easier to do when you're typing because you can backtrack and say, "No, that doesn't really work, so I'll type this down." But when you're doing it in an audio or live or anything like that, it's a little bit harder because if you backtrack, then you look like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, yeah, I would definitely agree with you. Yeah, Kuehl theory is. It's impacted me so much that one of my T-shirts in my store it's a hamburger, and then spiraling around it into infinity is you ask me for a hamburger, you ask me for a hamburger, you ask me for a hamburger, and it keeps on spiraling in, and that's available. So if you want that one, go out and buy it.
Definitely.
Hmm.
Next question.
Yeah.
What creepypasta will you not narrate?
Anything with Jeff the Killer. It's not that the writing sucks. The stories are written very well. I just can't. I just don't connect with Jeff the Killer. It's stereotypical. I really don't go for the. I don't go for the stereotype creepypasta. The only exception to the rule is Slender Man, because I like his backstory, and I like who he is and what he does. And so I mean, like Ben Drowned, uh, anything with Zulgo, anything with Jeff the Killer, Jane the Killer, the Rake, Smile Dog. No. Let someone else do that. There's a lot more obscure horrors, a lot more abstract horrors that are a shitload scarier than a dog that smiles at you, or a kid in a white hoodie with a knife.
What is a fun fact about yourself?
I got a big dick. No, I'm just kidding. A fun fact about myself. I don't agree with it, but apparently you think so, so I'm just going to say it. Apparently I have a good singing voice.
Mm.
I don't, and and because of that, I'm going to be a part of that creepy, that narrator's singing competition, so that should be fun. The only bad thing about me doing that is, I mean, I used to do a lot of karaoke way back in the day, and the great thing about that is I would just go up there and I would sing it, and then I would sit back down. I don't have to listen to it to make sure that it's okay, and then sync it up with music. I don't have to hear my own singing voice again when I do karaoke. In this instance, I do. And else, I got a wife and a child that are upstairs that are going to come down here and said, "What are you doing to the cat?" So I mean, I gotta make sure that I'm somewhere in where I'm not going to be disturbing them, and I'm not going to disturb myself.
That is it for the narrator questions, but you are also a writer.
Yeah, I am. Yes, I am.
So here are some questions for you about that.
Yeah, let's do it.
What creepypasta do you wish you had been the one to write?
No End House. That is, I mean, with Jacob, Art of Jacob Emery, No End House, Tulpa, Russian Sleep Experiment. No End House is probably one of my favorite well-written stories, and I wish I could have my name attached to that, because I just love the artistry of it. It's not about the quick jump scare. It's about the long, torturous journey that the narrator makes through all 9 rooms. And when I narrated that, that's the main reason was I mean, it's such a sensory experience when you read it. I hardly had any music. And I had it at the very beginning when I was introducing the little story, and as soon as he got to the building, music went out. Music came back in as soon as he picked up the envelope and started heading back home. And then, other than that, I mean, you hear the ambient noises of each room. I mean, you hear the cheesy Halloween music in rooms 1 and 2, and then you hear the void of just an empty room in 3, and then 4, there's where the hum comes in. 5 outside, 6 back in that small room. 7, for some reason, 7 keeps on escaping what happened in that room. Oh my, that's gonna bug me now. I think it's no. No, honestly I can't remember. And it's ticking me off now, so hopefully someone will say it in the comments, or what room 7 was. And then 8, you're back home. 9, then you're back in the room where 3 and 6 were, and then you see yourself, and Oh no! Wait a minute. I'm 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 a room off because okay, 1 and 2 were the cheesy rooms, and then 3 was the empty room. 4 was the dark room. 5 was the forest. 6 was another room 3. 7 you go back home. 8 you go back in the room where 3 and 6 were. 9 was just a dark void where you were falling, and then you finally see a light up ahead, and then you go through it, and then you're back in the lobby, and then the game's over. So yeah, it's the way it's written is kind of my style, where it's very descriptive, very picturesque. I mean, you listen to the words and you can picture yourself there immediately. And I just wish I would have written that one.
Okay. Who is your favorite creepypasta writer?
I don't really have one. I do have favorite stories. Like I said before, Peter Devine was the author of Jacob Emery. For the love of God, I can't remember who did No End House. I think it might have been on the wiki. So unless you dig deep into the actual history, see who actually posted it first, you really don't know on the outside. Let's see, Michael Whitehouse. I have to drop Michael Whitehouse's name because recently I've done a couple of his stories, and I asked for permission. Whenever I narrate, if I can contact the author, I will say, hey, can I read your story for my monetized channel because of something that happened that I will talk about a little later. I don't want to get in trouble for it. And as they say yes, just make sure that you give me credit, of course. I went to Michael Whitehouse, and I said, hey, I'm going to be reading this story of yours. I want to know if I can have permission to read it. And not only did he give me his blessing, but he gave me full scramble at his entire works. He said, if you ever want to read any of my stuff, do not hesitate. Go for it. I love, and he actually apparently is a fan of mine. So that was a fantastic work right there. So that's really nice how that worked out. I do have to say that I loved the story Abandoned by Disney and Room Zero. I love those stories. I am not a big fan of the author because of events that happened in the past and blog posts of the authors that I have read and actions that he has taken in the community. I will never narrate any of this author's work simply because of the events that transpired. And how can I put this lightly without sounding like a total schmuck? Well, here it goes. I don't think anyone else should either. Because of the events that happened and what was said about the community and about on blog posts and in the actual forums, in the chat room of the Creepypasta Network, in the forums of Creepypasta Network, on blog posts of the Creepypasta Network, on this author's particular blog. A lot of harmful things were said, and they cannot be unsaid. And for that strict reason, because of the lengths that this author goes to make sure that he gets his cut rather than notoriety of, hey, here's a new author. I would rather have my name out there rather than a cut of the coin, because If you look at it logically, if you get more notoriety, if you get more people to know your name, then more people are going to want to read your stuff, and then it's just going to feed into it, so that your work is going to get more popular because more people know about you. If they know this, if they know about you the bad things, then they're not going to want to touch you with a 10-foot pole. And a lot of things that were said and were done kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit. I have not heard anyone that has read this author's work since. Maybe on non-monetized channels, but I really haven't heard anything about the author of those two stories. There's another author that I have to mention, and this has nothing to do with narcissism, but I have to mention myself, because if you have to be a fan of yourself, it's kind of like the whole, you really can't love anything until you love yourself. And the stories that I write, I like to think I did a good job. So I'm gonna promote myself. As I said, read Murphy1976 at WellHeyProductions. Read his stuff. There's a lot. I think a lot of people know me for Cold Oblivion and The Nice Guy. I have a whole mess more stories that are on my website that you can read, and if you want to narrate them, just ask. All you need to do is ask. I don't need a cut of anything. Just make sure you ask. Give me credit saying that it's written by me, and you're good to go.
Okay. Where do you get your inspiration?
Where do I get my inspiration? Some of my stuff that I get for inspiration is from actual events. Real life stuff that has happened. Example would be, let's see, I'll start from the beginning. The first story I ever wrote was a tale called Sleeping Funny. 3 sentences, and it described, and I drew from the experience. I woke up with a crick in my neck, or I slept funny, as we all say. The next one that I wrote was called The Lone Branch, and that one came from when I was on a walk during my lunch hour. I just happened to see this one dead branch sticking out from the trees. If you go to the wiki page that actually has the Lone Branch on it, the photograph that you see is the actual branch that inspired the story. Let's see. Night terrors. I have a son, and he's 3 years old. And he used to, when he was still in his crib, when he was still just an infant and a toddler, he would wake up in the middle of the night screaming. And most of the time he was hungry, or he was cranky, or he just wet himself, or what have you. And then I had to go in there, take care of things, and then I just spun it so that it was sinister. The other one that probably draws from personal experience is The Nice Guy. And that is because I used to have a boss that, I think everyone has had that boss, where you want them to get hit by a bus. And then you always, you have that fantasy in the back of your head, if there weren't any consequences, would they actually still be this mean? If they knew that you could actually exact your revenge in ways that would make you more of a monster than a man. So I took all my frustration against this boss of mine, and rather than shoot myself in the foot at work, the work that pays the bills, keeps the house over my head, pays for the car, keeps my son in daycare, puts food on the table. I put it all down on paper, and it got out of my system. So I mean, that's where most of my inspiration I get it from. I will actually just look around and say, I bet I could spin that into something a little freaky, and then I just write it down, and hopefully it works out.
Okay. How has writing changed you and your life?
Well, let's see. Not so much the stories, the creepypasta stories that I've written. That really hasn't changed me at all, or my life at all. What had the writing that has changed me is my Mad Murphy segments,
Mm.
and the reason that's changed me is Mad Murphy. I have a lot. I'm just gonna. I mean, if you haven't guessed already, I have an extreme amount of anger issues. Duh. Um, and rather than take it out on a person, rather than on taking it out on any living creature, rather than punching the wall and possibly breaking all the bones in my hand, or anything destructive, I vent through yelling at a microphone. Microphone's not going to yell back at me. I mean, I'm still going to get comments, people that agree and disagree with me, but I can, if I don't feel like putting up with that, I don't have to read the comments. I can actually just, you guys just, discuss amongst yourselves. There have been some engaging questions for the most part, which is really good, and it's actually helping more than I thought. I thought automatically that I would start this segment and I would immediately get like, oh, you're full of shit, you're wrong, blah, 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 blah. But most of the comments are positive. They're like, oh my God, I didn't think that anyone else felt this way too. Thank you for doing this. Anger levels decrease significantly. I'm actually finding it harder and harder to write these segments because some of the stuff that I used to get mad about, it just doesn't matter anymore now. I mean, of course, we're going to have some stuff that pops up. I'm like, oh, and I'm going to write it down just to get it on my system, and then hopefully, I'll be able to record it soon after, just to get it out of my system, and say, okay, it's out, it's done, it's away, and so I'm not holding on to that pent up frustration anymore that was putting so much pressure on my chest. So I mean I'm not as angry as I used to be, which is good. I mean, I still think it's healthy to be passionate and emotional, whether those emotions be love, whether those emotions be laughter, joy, sadness, depression, anger. The one thing you need to know about emotions is that as long as you can feel that and you're not numb, it's good to know that you're alive. I mean, I really feel for those people that have been in such a predicament that they're just numb to everything and the entire world is gray. And my heart goes out to those people. It's like, it must suck that you can't feel anymore.
Okay. What creepypasta are you most proud of writing?
Creepypasta I'm most proud of writing. I'm actually going to have to go to my own site. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, Lord. The Nice Guy was good just because it's popular. I like it just because I was able to get a lot off my chest for it. Um, let's see, Redditum I love because I was able to connect myself to my favorite story. Um, I'm probably the most proud of A Slender Victory. And the reason I love that one probably the most is because I was able to include my son in on it. Not only did I write him in the story, but when I recorded it, I actually got him to do his lines that I wrote in the story. And it was fun. I loved do I just that actually I one of your previous questions when you say where do I get my inspiration, part of the Slender Victory actually was real life. I was at the grocery store with my son, and he just turned his head and he looked at something that I couldn't see, and he was pointing at something, and I couldn't see it, and his vocabulary at that point in his life was not that developed, so he was just just saying toddler speak that I had no idea, and so I just spun that into a creepypasta with Slenderman, and I was able to draw on that and use it, and it was a lot of fun to write. It was a lot of fun to record, especially when I got him to do his lines. Um, so I would definitely have to say that, yes, definitely A Slender Victory is probably my favorite story out of all of them.
Okay. Why did you start writing?
Why? Why? Because I was in 4th grade. That's the short version. In 4th grade, Catholic grade school, we had creative writing class, and we really didn't get that much instruction on how to be creative when we write, but just to write. Could be poems, could be stories. I had notebooks caked full of stories. Unfortunately, all of them are gone because the notebooks do not last 100 years. Um, but I mean that's and I I thought that artistry, drawing, was the only creative thing that you could do. That coloring with crayons or markers or what have pencil. And I practiced at that, and I got really good. And then 3rd grade came, and I was still drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. 4th grade came around, and there really wasn't that much art class, but there was creative writing. So I'm like, well, what is this? And then I just dove in. I was like, oh my God, it's another creative output. So now I had 2 weapons in my arsenal. I would draw the illustrations, and I would write about what I'm looking at what I just drew. So that's probably where it all started. And then in high school I had better creative writing where we actually had to do structured stuff, and we had projects where you have to write an obituary about yourself, or you have to write a letter to a fictional character, or write a children's book, or what have you. And it was just there was just a lot more depth to it. And then I really dove in more, and when I started getting older and older and older, I'm figuring, I want to be able to paint with words, so that if you read one sentence, you can see exactly what I'm telling you that you should be seeing. Whether it be an empty, dark parking lot in the middle of a summer evening, a dank, dusty basement that is littered with cardboard boxes that are about to teeter over at a moment's notice, or whether it be a being trapped in snow and ice being ridiculed by vicious, maniacal children. that seem to want nothing but your demise.
Okay. What is the earliest story you remember writing?
Oh, God. um, the earliest story I remember, honestly, I can't remember entirely what it was about. I do remember it was a sci-fi story, and that there were I put myself in the story and a whole mess of other kids that I drew upon as references. And we were stranded on an alien planet, and then we had to get back somehow. And I think that that I mean that's all I can really remember about it. Yeah, so yeah, I mean there was that. I actually had a book of poems that meh, that really weren't. It was just one of those things. Is oh well, here's an assignment. Write all these poems and then put them in a book. So you know, I mean, when you're in high school, you're just okay, do the assignment, do, rather than actually put any thought into it. So it really wasn't that good. But yeah, the earliest story it had to have been that sci-fi story and I actually wrote that one in fourth grade.
Where do you see yourself going with your writing career?
Nowhere. I consider writing to just be a hobby. Um, I write simply to write. I don't want to get anything out of it. I don't. I mean, if something becomes of it, fantastic. That'd be great. I'm not holding my breath though. I don't think any. I mean, if you hold your breath for fame and fortune, you're going to be holding your breath for a very, 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 very long time, and that's foolish. I mean, it'd be like it's fantastic if it happens, but if you're just hoping for it to happen, you can. Well, I'm gonna put it this way: if you're just wishing for it to happen, you can wish in one hand and crap in the other, and see which gets filled first. And that so I mean, if like I said, if and it's same thing with my videos and my animations. If for some freak of nature miracle I get 500,000 subscribers, that would be fantastic. That would be absolutely fantastic. I'm not looking for that. I'm not. I am simply making videos because I love to make videos. I write stories because I love to write stories. I animate because I love to animate. And I think there's a lot of people in the community that have the absolute opposite point of view on this whole thing. They start doing videos for YouTube to become famous, and then they get frustrated and upset when it doesn't happen overnight. And it's painful to see. It's really painful to see when you should just be creative, be positive, be productive, and enjoy what you're doing. If you're doing this for the reason to become famous, you're doing this for all the wrong reasons. If you should be doing this because you enjoy doing it. And if you're not enjoying doing it, you need to stop doing it, because you need to have fun doing this. It's going to make the experience a lot better. It's going to make it a lot easier. You're going to have a lot more inspiration when you're having fun. You are going to be able to draw from more when you're having fun. It will not seem like work. It will seem like fun. You're creating. You're doing something positive, something productive, something that no one else can do. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of narrators, there's a lot of authors, there's a lot of artists, but you are doing it your own way, and that's what needs to stand out. That's what you need to find. You need to find your own niche, and like I said, not to become famous, but to to be able to channel all of your energy into. Say, well, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm the best at. So, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And then once you get that, you'll start to enjoy it more. You'll start to have fun more. And then all this piddly stuff that's on the side, well, I mean, I got this and I got that and blah 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 blah. It'll all just melt away, and it just won't even fucking matter anymore.
That is it for the writer questions, but I have just a few real quick, more personal questions for you.
Okie dokie.
All right. Do you have any advice to give any just starting out or thinking about starting narrators or writers?
Just do it. I know Mr. Creepypasta has said this. I know Creeps McPasta has said this, and I will say it too. Just do it. Don't think about doing it. Just do it. It's a microphone, an editing program, and a YouTube account. That's all you need. I put out a couple videos that can help you along the way. I did a couple WHP 101 videos for some audio tricks. It's just basically one audio trick, but it's a very, very important audio trick. I've gotten a lot of narrators that come up to me and say, "Hey, I put out this video. Can you listen to it?" And I watch the video, and you can hear their fan going on in the background, and that just loses the effect for me. I'm in your basement, right behind you, and reading over your shoulder. So I mean, simple things like that. A lot of common sense stuff. I put on another one where it's narration mastery, where some tips on how to be a better narrator. I mean, anyone can read. Anyone can read a story, or where it's just like, once upon a time there was a house, and in this house there was a brutal murder scene. No one is going to listen to that. You need to be able to narrate, where you need to read the story to yourself, and then you get familiar with the story. You know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who's it going to happen to, and you do your best to put the listener into the story, so they're actually experiencing it, and you're just documenting what they're experiencing. Creeps McPasta put out a fantastic video, top 10 tips for new creepypasta readers, and a lot of his points are very synonymous with mine, where you need to be having fun doing what you're doing, or you need to stop right away, because it's just gonna burn you out. You need to narrate, not read, which, I mean, two very different things. And he has a couple other points. They're escaping my memory right now, but I can guarantee you it is a very, very useful video for those narrators that are just starting out. So I would definitely check out those videos. Any other aspect of the creepypasta, or it doesn't even really need to be creepypasta. It could be any kind of writing, any kind of video making, any kind of storytelling. Just do it. You are not going to get any better if you don't practice at it. So I think Jake the dog once said, being crappy at something is the first step at being okay at something. So you need to start off somewhere, and very few people are going to be a virtuoso. So don't expect to be that, or you're going to get pissed really quickly. Just start, record yourself, listen to it. Do you think it can be better? If you can, do it over. You think it could be any better that next time? Do it over. Keep on getting better. Hone your skills. Get better at reading. Some of us do tongue twisters before we hit the record button, so that we don't trip over our own mouth. But There's a lot of different techniques that a lot of different narrators do. Um, and so you just need to find what works for you and just do it. Just dive right in. It's not rocket science. It's it's just narrating a story that you really enjoy.
Okay. Now, you have been a narrator for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
In this time, what are some things you've noticed about the community, and what are some changes you've seen it go through?
Changes. Well, let's see. Let's see. What have I seen the community go through? I've seen the community go through a lot. When I first joined, our repository for camaraderie was the Creepypasta Readers Unlimited forum, and it was just a forum run by MCP and a couple other admins, and it was a fantastic tool to get some creepypastas, to get some insight on how this can be better, how can that be better, yada yada yada, and it was great for that time. Then, as the community grew and grew and grew, we needed something bigger, better, badder, and that's where the Creepypasta Network came from. When MCP came to me and said, "Hey, I know you're a web designer by trade. Do you think we can make something better?" And I'm like, "Well, most definitely." And we pulled together a lot of resources to make the CPN happen. It's going through more changes right now, where we actually want, because of what happened with MCP and Abandoned by Disney and some other authors and narrator quarrels, what have you, we want to put together a repository of literature, and even this has even happened on the wiki, where it's got a certain commons law attached to it, where you have to make sure that you get a documented authorization to use those stories. Um, so what we want to build is a repository where people don't have to be scared of the stories that are in there, that they're going to get in trouble if they use them for their channel. We want to bolster some of the, because there's a lot of faults with the site. Mainly, one of it's bogged down a little bit, and there's just a lot of extraneous stuff that we just don't use anymore. It was a nice fad for the beginning, but now it's eh. So we'd like to clean it up. We'd like to make it a little bigger, badder, stronger, more robust. Definitely mobile friendly, so that you just don't have to be at your computer and look at it. You can be on your mobile phone, you can be on your tablet. So that's pretty much, technologically wise. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people come that should have gone already. I've seen a lot of people go that I wish would come back. The community has grown. Let's see, when I first started, it was probably several hundred in the community, and now it's several thousand. So I mean, it's gone through enormous growth. And I think I don't was part of the question what I'd like to see happen with the community.
No, but that is another good question to ask.
Um, and I think well, in that aspect, I think what what you're doing, Cabot, with the interviews, and with the get-togethers, and with the can you read it with a straight face, or some of your other programs. It's great community tools, so that, I mean, there needs to be more community involvement. There needs to be more more input, more participation, and I found out the very, very hard way that it is extremely difficult to motivate people to participate who don't really want to participate.
Hmm.
I've had two events that, well, I planned two events. One I had to completely abandon because I got minimal results. The other one, I was able to get it out, and that's the the Daft Punk dance video, Get Lucky. And it turned out well. I mean, I would have loved to seen more people involved. And even in the comments, they said, "Oh, I really wish I would have participated in this." Well, you had your shot, dude. Why didn't you participate? What were you afraid of? That someone was going to laugh at you? They were laughing at all of us. They were laughing with all of us. We had a great time. And you missed out because, oh, my ego might get trampled on. Ah, screw you. My thing about participating is it's kind of like a YOLO kind of thing. I hate that phrase. I hate it with a passion. But you never know when an opportunity like that is gonna come around again. So go for it. Who cares if someone's gonna laugh at you? It, you're having fun. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If you're having fun, you're enjoying what you're doing. It does not matter. Like with my videos, I enjoy what I do. I have fun doing it. I like what I do. I could care less if I have one subscriber or the amount that I have now. I don't care. I'd still be making videos. So, and that's the mindset that I wish a lot more people in the community would have. Where it's like, hey, we have a group project. We want to get as many people involved, and if you get involved, you'll get your name out there. And then people will say, "Oh yeah, they were in that video. I remember that guy. Maybe he'll want to be in a collab with me." Or I remember this person. She has fantastic dance moves. Maybe she'll want to do this. Or this person has a great singing voice. Maybe they'll want to do this. And it's networking, and it works like you wouldn't believe. But there's so many kids in the community that are just scared shitless, and I don't know why. I will never understand why. It's yeah, you don't want to look like a fool. Screw that. Look like a fool. Dance like no one's watching. Who cares? Just do it. Just have fun. Life is too frickin' short to worry about someone is going to make fun of you behind your back.
Okay. I have one more question for you.
And I will try to actually make this one short.
Oh, we'll see. Well, would you like to tell everybody about your website?
Yes, wellhey.com. Oh, you want me to go more? All right.
If you like.
Yeah, it's my personal blog. It's my personal run website. I host it. I don't host it. I host it with a hosting company, but I run it myself. I edit it myself. I add content by myself. There are some content elements I wish I had more time to do, like the let's see, some of the features that I got. I mean, I have all my written stories. I have all of my videos on there, whether it be creepypasta, whether it be my Mad Murphy segments, whether it be all my funny stuff, whether it be my new segment. I just started this on Tuesday, Tales of 4chan, and I actually got a lot of positive response from that, so hopefully that one will stick around. On my story time with Murphy's, everything. I got my store on there. It's a linked right to Spreadshirt. You don't even need to go to Spreadshirt. I have a window that brings Spreadshirt to my site. You can go to it from there. I have all of the fan art that I've received over the years on there in this large gallery, and it's glorious. Let's see. I have links to WellHey Facebook, WellHey Twitter, WellHey Tumblr, my YouTube channel, Spreadshirt, of course, and in case I start doing live streams again, I have a link right to my Justin TV account. Let's see. The other stuff that goes on with the site. I have WHP Kudos. If you want to kiss my butt, I don't know why you'd want to, but if you do, if you want to, you can go on the sidebar of the site, and there's a little form right there that says share the love. You put in your name, the URL to your Tumblr or to your YouTube channel or whatever. You can even leave it blank if you want to. You upload an image for your avatar. You can rate me from 1 to 5 stars, and then you write your little blurb. Even if you have something bad to say, I will most likely publish it, because you really can't appreciate the good stuff unless you have the bad stuff. Let's see. Other things. I have the other thing that I have on here that I would love to get more participation with, but of course there are some restrictions. It is my inmate happy hour, where now, since I think it's, I don't know if it's common knowledge. I love to drink because I'm half Irish, but that's not why I drink, because my nationality. I just blame it on my nationality. But if you are over 21, you have to be over 21 to participate in this. I have a whole mess of age restrictions, and you will see those on the page if you try to fill out the form or any of this. You have to be at least 21. And even if you want to fool the little age selector or the date selector, when it comes to me, I can do math in my head. I can figure it out myself. I can figure out what you're trying to pull here. So let's just be on the honor system, and all you need to do, you fill out the form, and you give me the title of the drink, and all you're doing is just sharing your favorite cocktail or drink. And I will mix it up, I will taste it myself, and I will rate it from grade A to grade F. Usually A is, oh my god, this is orgasmic. F is, what the fuck you trying to do, poison me? And I got a couple drinks in there. I would love to have more. I did on the first couple of drinks that I did post on there, I got Mrs. Murphy to offer her opinion as well. Unfortunately, with personal matters, she will no longer be able to participate in that. So it's just going to be 1 rating from me. So I plan to get more of those out. I would like to do a shout out to Creepypasta Raven. No fucking way am I going to do Devil's Spit. He sent me a recipe for a shot called Devil's Spit, which is mostly Bacardi 151 and a drop of Tabasco. No. Just no. I do not want to blow out my butt when I finally digest that. So it's gonna burn when I pee, and yeah, no. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It was a lot of fun to put together. I put a lot of work in it. So come on by, participate, make comments, rate posts, spend some time there. You know, if I got a contact form, you can say hello. You can say hello. You can just have a good time. You can actually you can actually like me on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Tumblr. You can join my army on YouTube, all from my website. I've made everything extremely easy to do. So come on by and see how easy it is.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add before we wrap this up?
This was fun.
It was.
It was fun. Hopefully everyone listening had a good time as well.
Okay. Well, all information for Murphy will be down in the description below. And that is it for tonight. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.
Bye.